The night air lay over the estate like a heavy cloak, muffling every sound. Even the distant hum of the city felt half a world away. Inside his dim study, Mark Dawson sat hunched before a crackling fireplace, its orange flames dancing like ghosts of the past. The room, once filled with laughter and warmth, felt hollow, a shrine to a family he could never reclaim. His wife's laughter, his daughter's bright eyes, the unspoken promise of tomorrow, all had vanished in an instant. No amount of money, no trophy or accolade could fill the cavernous ache in his chest. He reached for the glass of whiskey on the side table but paused, letting it sit untouched. What was the point of drinking away the memories when they were all he had left? Then a sharp, urgent bark sliced through the silence. Mark's brow furrowed. At this hour, who could be braving the cold to knock on his door? He rose, each step echoing in the cavernous foyer, and flipped on the porch light. The glow revealed a figure that made his breath hitch, a large German shepherd, its fur streaked with mud and exhaustion. The dog's stance was rigid, powerful, every muscle taut with purpose. Its dark eyes held his gaze, unwavering. Between its jaws, cradled with surprising gentleness, was a bundle of ragged fabric. A deep, unsettling dread curled in Mark's stomach. He crouched down, the dog lowering its head in silent trust, and set the bundle on the threshold. Mark's hands shook as he untied the frayed cloth. His breath caught when he saw the tiny face beneath. Pale as moonlight, the newborn's chest rose and fell in faint, uneven shudders. Barely a breath, Mark's heart thundered in his ears. Where had this child come from? And why had this dog brought her here? The only answer lay in the dog's eyes. A plea to save this fragile life. Without hesitation, Mark scooped the baby into his arms. The fabric bit into his fingertips, but he barely noticed. He glanced at the dog, which leaped smoothly into the passenger seat of his car, then slammed the door shut. Tires screeched as he tore away from the porch, headlights cutting through the velvet darkness. His mind reeled. Who abandoned her? How had she survived until now? He looked over at the dog, who sat alert, head tilted, guarding the infant as though sworn to a sacred oath. A tiny whimper broke the tense silence. Mark's chest tightened. He had lost his own child once. Not again. They arrived at the hospital in a heart-stopping blur. Mark flung open his door, the dog springing out beside him, paws skidding on the pavement. Inside, he bellowed down the corridor, "Help! I need help right now." Nurses and doctors swarmed, eyes wide. Nurse Lisa, breath-catching, rushed forward. "Oh my God, what happened?" "You found her like this?" Mark panted, extending the baby. "She was cold, barely breathing. This dog brought her to me. This dog brought her to me." Lisa's face flickered between shock and resolve. "We need to move now." She whisked the infant away, while doctors snapped on oxygen masks and nurses prepped bottle wines. The antiseptic scent filled Mark's nostrils as he stood rooted to the spot, dread pooling in his gut. In the doorway, the German shepherd sat perfectly still, ears pricked, gaze locked on the child. One nurse placed a hand on Mark's arm. Her voice was calm, firm. "If you'd waited another minute, I'm not sure she'd be here." Mark exhaled, running a hand over his face. He had acted on instinct, and that instinct had saved a life. He glanced back at the dog, his silent partner tonight, this mysterious guardian. Moments later, the beeping on the heart monitor steadied. The baby's breaths, once shallow flickers, now came easier. Dr. Andrew Carter, a seasoned pediatrician with kind eyes, assessed her swiftly. She was severely dehydrated, but she's responding, not out of danger, but fighting. He offered Mark a reassuring nod. Mark sank into a chair, muscles unspooling. The dog, Bruno, he'd decide, remained at the threshold of the emergency room as vigilant as a sentry. Nurse Lisa crouched beside him. How did he know where to bring her? She whispered. He had no answer, but he knew one thing. Bruno wasn't just any dog. Suddenly, heavy boots sounded. Detective James Miller strode in, presence crackling with authority. "I'm Detective Miller," he announced, scanning the scene. "I hear a man brought in an infant claiming a dog delivered it. I need details." Mark stood, extending a hand. "I'm Mark Dawson, and this is Bruno." He found the baby, and he brought her here. An officer approached with a microchip scanner. Bruno's muscles stiffened. He didn't growl, but his eyes flashed a silent warning. The officer murmured, "A trained. Definitely 9. Detective Miller's gaze sharpened. He saw he had an owner once. If he was protecting that baby, she must belong to Bruno's family. Mark exchanged a look with Lisa. The theory fit too neatly. Miller nodded to his team. "Then we follow the dog." Outside, the night was cold enough to sting lungs. Bruno led them through silent streets, Mark, Miller, and a squad of officers trailing behind, flashlights slicing the darkness. Houses fell away in grandeur until they reached a crumbling cottage. Its front door hung ajar, paint peeling in mournful strips. Bruno paused, body tense, ears forward. Miller signalled caution. Inside, the air smelled of mildew and neglect. In one corner, a small crib stood empty, its mattress indented with absence. A tattered blanket lay heaped on the floor. Beside it, a dog bowl and half-spilled kibble. Bruno's bowl. On a dusty table lay a folded piece of paper. Miller picked it up gingerly, smoothing the creases. Ink blurred, desperate. I have nothing left. No food, no money, no hope. But I know Bruno will take him somewhere safe. Please forgive me. Silence pressed in. Mark swallowed hard, eyes flicking to Bruno, who lowered his head as if in mourning. The mother, Emma, had vanished into the night, leaving everything behind. Miller's voice cut the hush. We find her before it's too late. They split into teams. An elderly neighbour, Mr. Harris, recalled Emma's routine walks past his house, always with Bruno by her side. He'd last seen her heading toward Willow Park hours ago. Mark's heart lurched. The park was miles away, and the night air no friend to the vulnerable. They piled into cars, Bruno hopping again into Mark's passenger seat. Their headlights danced over barren trees until the gates of Willow Park loomed. The wind's howl rattled the branches overhead. Officers called out her name. Only echoes answered. Then a faint whimper. Bruno bolted toward a cluster of benches at the edge of the park. Mark and Miller pounded after him, hearts slapped. There, huddled beneath layers of threadbare clothing, sat a woman, thin, frail eyes hollowed by despair. Her arms hugged her to herself, body trembling against the cold. At Bruno's soft whine, she lifted her head. Recognition flickered in her eyes. Bruno, the name was a whisper. The dog padded forward and sat, tail thumping once. The woman, Emma, trembled as Miller knelt beside her. Your baby is safe. He's at the hospital, alive. Emma's world shattered and remade in an instant. Her hands flew to her mouth. Tears welled, then spilled over in sobs of relief. Me baby, she gasped. Bruno pushed a wet nose against her hand. You saved him, she choked. Bruno wagged his tail, mission still underway. Back at the hospital, Emma's legs threatened to give way. Mark slipped an arm around her, Bruno at her other side. Nurse Lisa met them outside the pediatric unit. He's stable, she said softly. Emma let out a breath she'd held for hours, maybe days. Inside, the baby lay swaddled, cheeks rosing in steady rhythm. The monitor's gentle beeps sounded like a lullaby. Emma knelt, fingertips brushing his cheek. Me baby, she whispered, tears glinting in the soft light. Bruno sat sentinel, eyes bright with pride. Mark watched the reunion, something stirring in his chest he hadn't felt in years. Hope. Emma turned to him, gratitude and wonder in her gaze. Thank you. I don't know how to. Mark shook his head. Don't thank me. Thank Bruno. He cleared his throat. We lost my family a long time ago. Maybe this was meant to be. Emma's voice wavered. I have nowhere to go. Mark offered her a gentle smile. Then you do now. I can help, job, a place to stay, whatever you need until you're on your feet. Her tears came again, but this time they were tears of promise. Bruno leaned into Emma's hand, tail sweeping the floor. 3 lives once broken were weaving together into something new. A week passed. The hospital wing glowed with morning light. Emma sat by the window, her son cradled in her arms. Tiny fingers curled around hers, breath soft and steady. Bruno lay at her feet, vigilant still, yet content. Mark entered with a small bag. I thought you could use these, he said, setting it beside her. Inside were baby clothes, formula, and a warm coat for Emma. Her eyes brimmed. I don't know how to thank you, she whispered. He offered a gentle grin. You don't have to. Just take care of him. Us, he knelt to scratch Bruno's ears. You really are something special. Bruno looked up at Mark, eyes shining with unspoken wisdom. In that moment, Mark realized this night was not an ending but the first page of a new story, one of healing, of family reborn, of hope found in the most unexpected of heroes. And as the dawn's light bathed the room, all 3 of them, bound by loss and love, stepped forward into tomorrow together.